Over the past few days, many islanders have expressed significant concern to me over what I'm told is a 7 million gallon agricultural holding pond currently being constructed at a contract potato farm in Shamrock. Apparently, 2 pumps will be required to run around the clock for a month to fill the pond, with more wells expected to be added, thereby having the same effect as a high-capacity well. Question to the Minister of Environment, Water and Climate Change. Can you update this House as to the details of this holding pond?
The Honourable Minister of Environment, Water and Climate Change.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for the question. So irrigation ponds and associated low-capacity wells are not currently regulated. However, my department remains aware of their use on the island. The new Water Act, as you're aware, and the associated water withdrawal regulations will regulate low-capacity wells. It will provide the opportunity for government to assess whether they will have an impact on water resources in other wells. In the meantime, I certainly recognize that water is a shared resource. My staff have made contact with the well driller on this particular well, who is working on this new pond. We provided direction to ensure that there is no impact on neighboring wells or on stream levels, but certainly if you have any questions or concerns, absolutely please direct them to me or my department, and we'll make sure to follow up.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am well aware that these are not currently regulated, but your party did get elected on a platform that would put a continued moratorium on high-capacity wells. Mr. Speaker, it's no secret that the holding ponds like we're talking about are just a way of circumventing these regulations as they exist currently. And the PEI Water Act will prohibit these ponds moving forward. It seems odd then that this government appears to be fine with the exact sort of irresponsible water withdrawal that this new legislation will stop. Question to the Minister of Environment, Water and Climate Change. Why are you allowing the construction of these holding ponds when it so clearly violates the proposed Water Act regulations?
The Honourable Minister of Environment, Water and Climate Change.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thanks again for the question. As you're well aware, the draft regulations need to be revised based on feedback received from consultation and the Standing Committee. The Standing Committee has plans had planned to invite additional guests to speak on these regulations before finalizing their input, but as we all know, these meetings have been delayed as a result of COVID. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am well aware that the Water Act regulations are not in place yet, but I'm also well aware that under the Environmental Protection Act, the Minister has the power to shut this down. Question to the Minister of Environment, Water and Climate Change. Will you commit to establishing an interim moratorium on high-capacity holding ponds until the Water Act regulations are in place?
The Honourable Minister of Environment, Water and Climate Change.
Again, thank you very much for the question. It's certainly appreciated. I think at this point that the Standing Committee has been established, and I certainly look forward to hearing more from some of the groups whereby we had invited. And again, I know my staff is very engaged in this process and have been keeping me up to speed. So I'm looking forward to learning more about this specific location. And as we go forward, I'm looking forward to seeing the presentations roll out to the committee. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Premier has committed to us getting answers to our questions, and I would love to ask you again. So my question to the Minister of Environment, Water and Climate Change, will you commit to establishing an interim moratorium on high-capacity holding ponds until the Water Act regulations are in place?
The Minister of Environment, Water and Climate Change.
Again, thank you, Honourable Member, for the question. I certainly appreciate it, but from my understanding, this Standing Committee has been established to address just that. So in terms of my commitment to establishing a moratorium, I'm certainly willing to have a conversation with you, and I welcome any feedback, and my department is very much available to answer any questions you may have. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Charlottetown.